NBC, before you copyright this video, it is covered under fair use. How is it covered under fair use, you may ask? It's covered by commentation and review. And this video also includes creative expression and thought. So this is my first video essay, and I'll be talking about how Brooklyn Nine-Nine is essentially the sequel to The Office. And at the end of the video, I'll give an update on the situation I'm in with NBC, getting removed from the YouTube partnership program, and all that good stuff. And I also passed 100,000 subscribers, which is awesome. So I don't normally make these kind of videos, and I generally make supercuts, but I have to play it safe in terms of copyright. And I'll get into more of that later on. So to get started, let's look at some similarities between The Office and Brooklyn Nine-Nine. The first one is the god himself, Michael Schur. Hopefully I pronounced that right, because I put a lot of emphasis on Schur. He is essentially the godfather of some of the best TV shows around. The comedy show that you like the most is probably somewhat influenced by Michael Schur. He's basically a TV warlord. You also may recognize him from The Office because he played Mose, and that role alone grants him access to Valhalla. It's just really funny, and he's not even an actor, and he's just hilarious in his own regard. Along with Michael Schur, his shows all share a very similar formula. They start out with the iconic comedic cold open, set up the goal of the episode, introduce a conflict, and resolve that conflict, and all the while, there's a ton of comedy interjected to make it 10 times more interesting. This is the basic formula that is recurrent in all of Michael Schur's shows, and it's basically the winning formula across TV. This is the main reason so many people naturally enjoy Brooklyn Nine-Nine. It borrows a lot in terms of formula and DNA from The Office, and that is in large part a thank you to Michael Schur and the creators on the show. Another big similarity are the extremely colorful characters in both shows. They all within their own right feel extremely interesting and authentic. You actively care about every character, and there isn't one character that you hate. Besides maybe Hitchcock and Scully, but they are the type of characters that you love to hate. Even Jake Peralta has very similar character traits to Michael Scott. He has a similar style of humor, and they both have a similar mindset of being like a child, and only every once in a while they grow up and take responsibility. Another thing that clearly translates from The Office is a love story between the two main characters. This is the biggest similarity that people enjoy the most because everyone is a sucker for a true love story. I mean, come on. Jake and Amy and Jim and Pam, name a more iconic duo. It's also kind of a coincidence that Jake and Jim both get into these relationships around the same season count. And by season count, I mean they both form their love interests within the first few seasons of the show. By the way, this is not a bad thing that these two shows are so similar. It's just a clear example of how Brooklyn Nine-Nine is a sequel to The Office. But for Brooklyn Nine-Nine to be a true sequel, it has to improve upon its successor in some way, and or make change. And that change lies within the style of filmmaking. Brooklyn Nine-Nine's style is traditional, and The Office is mockumentary. Yes, the mockumentary style is amazing, but it can limit the show to just being a comedy, and that can be hard for 9 seasons. What the traditional style has that the mockumentary style doesn't is the potential to interject different tones and genres within different episodes. Brooklyn Nine-Nine can open up the show to scenes of action and not have it limited to a cameraman awkwardly chasing Jake around, because that wouldn't work. Even scenes of intimacy and romance can be experienced naturally and not limited to an outside perspective appearing in that The Office portrays. You can see this a lot with Jim and Pam, and most of their very close moments are shared with these outside perspective views, as I'm showing through some of these clips. There's nothing wrong with this method, and it works well in some moments, but that limits The Office's ability to showcase really sincere moments to a certain format. Brooklyn Nine-Nine, on the other hand, can naturally show what's intimately happening between characters without breaking the fourth wall, or at least calling attention to the fourth wall. They're not directly looking to the camera, wink wink, calling out Jim. Although, I would love just to make a supercut of Jim looking into the camera, but I'd probably get in trouble by NBC. You can also get moments of heightened tension through angles and shots you choose to film in, and this is just one of many examples that the traditional style can yield. For a comedic show about cops and detective work, it needs to be very versatile in the stories that it can tell, and the show would be at a disadvantage if it was a mockumentary style like The Office. Another way Brooklyn Nine-Nine improves upon The Office is that it can be objectively more binge-worthy. Now stay with me. There are 2 ways that it can be in this case. One of them is cliffhangers. Some of the most popular shows that are binge-worthy have cliffhangers, and that's a big factor to get someone onto the next episode. For Brooklyn Nine-Nine though, that's how they get you to the next season. They tend to be pretty brutal when it comes to this tactic, just like the most recent cliffhanger, where, spoiler, Captain Holt is saying if he got the promotion, but it cuts out right before he says if he got the promotion. That was pretty brutal. So yeah, that's harsh, but it does draw viewers back in. The Office used cliffhangers every now and then, like with Dwight and Angela getting it on and Phyllis walking in. That was a oof moment for them. But they didn't fully utilize cliffhangers as Brooklyn Nine-Nine does. The other way that this show is more binge-worthy is that each episode generally ends on a very high note, giving the audience a sense of excitement and joy, more so than The Office. This is probably why I get a lot of requests to do a supercut on the squad saying 9-9 at the end of every episode. That and at the end, Ron Swanson saying Fremulon always puts a smile on my face, and I assume other people are like that too. But yeah, those are just two small reasons why I think that Brooklyn Nine-Nine is slightly more binge-worthy than The Office. Because naturally, The Office is the most binge-worthy show. But cliffhangers and the high excitement of like at the end of an episode for like saying 9-9 further elevates its binge-worthiness. So that wraps up the video. I gave you some similarities and some improvements as to how Brooklyn Nine-Nine is a sequel. I'm sorry that it's taken a while to put this out because I got sick, my situation with YouTube, I was busy with college, I was working on a commercial, and most importantly, Apex Legends. I would have had this video out by Thursday. And now I'll go into what happened with my channel and NBC. About a month ago, I made Jake and Holt being a comedic duo, and NBC manually copyrighted it within a day, which is fine, but they also most likely reported me to YouTube, and I got kicked out of the YouTube partnership program. I was surprised because the video doesn't show Brooklyn Nine-Nine in a bad light, and it acts as great advertisement for the upcoming season, but I guess they don't want my channel to benefit in any way, which is fair. In order to get back into the partnership program, I have to quote-unquote make changes. Since I got into trouble for copyright, I most likely have to delete any video that has a copyright claim on my channel, which is close to like 80 videos. And that's about 2/3 of my videos on the channel. Most of them are Rick and Morty videos because they are all blocked and only a few remain that you can watch. The videos that don't have copyright claims, I have argued on fair use and won disputes on, like Game of Thrones. The people at Game of Thrones essentially gave me the thumbs up and agreed with my argument of how supercuts can be transformative. Obviously, NBC doesn't see them as transformative, nor do they care about the benefits the videos can bring them, but I hope anything that's not copyrighted I can keep on my channel. If I have to delete everything under my channel review to get back into the partnership program, I'll probably just create a second channel, because I don't have the heart to pull the plug on that many videos that people enjoy. That's another reason why I was hesitant on making this video, because NBC can just snap their fingers and copyright this video regardless of it being within fair use. All of this hard work will potentially go to nothing, because I'll end up having to delete this video if it does get copyrighted. Regardless of getting my partnership back, I'm definitely planning on making Game of Thrones videos, and I have a lot of good ideas. I just don't know if I need to save them for a second channel in order to grow it. For the time being, while I'm under review, I'll be making some original content, and I have plans for a fun Star Wars video essay, assuming this video does okay. So yeah, that's the end, and I'll throw you to an end screen, and hopefully you enjoyed the video, and have a good day!